What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Happy 1 year of Marvel Rivals. Cue the confetti and the balloons. Listen, guys, we've had a good year of staple heroes being added to the roster. Feels like, I mean, we have 40 plus, so many to work with already. But what I thought would be a fun thing to do as we look forward year 2 is in 2026, what are 12 iconic heroes they can add and who I think genuinely is going to be coming to the game. What heroes I think and the roles that they're going to serve. This will be a fun way to just look forward to what we've got going on next year. Let's jump in. Alright, guys, so as you can see, we have 12 different spots, January through December 2026, one for each hero. Before we get started, though, we're going to talk about a hero that I'm not going to mention today, but going into year 2, I need some closure on this, right? We already, destroy a baby shark, right? So where do we cross the line? Professor X, okay? He's going to come to the game eventually, but are we getting wheels or no wheels? Are we going with the wheelchair, guys? Like, personally, I want the classic look, like levitating Professor X. That's one thing that's cool. I want my Pro X, my Xavier rolling to the, to the payload, to the spawn point, getting a triple. That's what I want to see. Let me know down below. Okay, to kick things off, we have Season 6, right? In January to kick off the new year. And this is one of the only seasons we don't really have to guess because we have seen some clues. Now, they're not confirmed, but it is fairly obvious, especially if you know your Marvel, who I think our first heroes are going to be to kick off the year in Season 6. If you have seen the gallery card in Season 5, you have the Collector talking about Grandmaster, and I quote him when he says, "I happen to have a few Earthborn operatives of my own that have been working for me behind the scenes. A blathering, foul-mouthed mercenary, and a monster hunter as deadly as she is beautiful." So we're going to show both of them, and then we'll break them down. That's obviously most likely going to be the foul-mouthed mercenary and Deadpool, which, if that's the way we kick off this is already going to be an insane year 2. And then to follow that or before, we don't know which order, my guess is probably Elsa Bloodstone. Really no other hero that matches that description of deadly as she is beautiful. Monster Hunter, it is Elsa. Super cool hero if you don't know about her. Skin sale is going to be off the chart. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's talk about Deadpool. So we actually get a little bit of a shot of what both of these heroes look like, or at least a very small Easter egg when we look at the Collector in his main room. And in the bottom left, we have Deadpool, which you can see here. We see his katana and a little bit of his mask. And then what is assumed to be Elsa Bloodstone. All right, so Deadpool, how do we envision him in the game? If you guys have been watching these videos, I think my biggest video of 2025 or close to it was me predicting every hero in the game. And there's a lot of ways to imagine Deadpool. I think that the Rivals team, they like to be creative, right? So maybe they go a more unique route in what I was saying in the past, being Vanguard, right? Just a guy who can never die. I think it fits the bill pretty good and would be really fun to have that. However, I feel like my gut tells me Deadpool is going to be a duelist. I think that at his core, that's what Deadpool is. How do we bring him into the game? Obviously, he's going to have his deagles, his double pistols, and then we do get a tease of him with his katana. That remains to be seen if he is going to bring those into the game. We have Blade who, plays cool, but he's not that great. So they're going to have to kind of figure that out. I don't want another Blade on our hands with him. First of all, I think he can regenerate super fast, very lore fitting, maybe to, counter, or at least to make this fair. He doesn't get health packs, but he can just continually regenerate his health, making it very quick, to get himself back into the battle. Another concept I saw is like maybe he doesn't really die, right? So like he turns into a pile of limbs and then he regenerates back and he has less health, and it takes maybe a little bit of time to do that, a couple seconds, but then he can keep doing that until eventually he just has like 1 health maybe, or 10 health left, and then you can press to go back to spawn. Thought that was kind of a cool idea. Ultimately, though, the fourth wall breaks. His voice lines are going to be insane. The voice actor is one of my most anticipated. Do they lean heavy into kind of his character and his moveset, or do they leave that for the voice lines? That's what I kind of want to see from you guys and what you want to see. Personally, though, I think what would be hilarious if he could do some type of flashbang where he just like covers up your entire screen, right? Like maybe it's some type of distraction that he can do where he's like, hey, nice ammo count you got there, whatever it is, and he's blocking up the majority of your screen. And let's say one of the allies on your team defeat the enemy that like can't see much because he's distracted by Deadpool for a couple seconds. Maybe Deadpool gets a buff from that. I don't know. There's a lot of ways that they could take this. He could do grenades. I've seen concepts of him having like a giant bomb that he just like walks up, blows up. He blows up with it, but he regenerates. There's so many different ways to go with Deadpool. I don't think they're going to miss this at all, and I'm probably assuming he's going to be a duelist, but let me know what you think. All right, next up is Elsa Bloodstone, and listen, they could go kind of a couple routes with this. They do like their kind of big woman vanguards, right? So maybe that's the route they go. Personally, I think Elsa's going to be a lot like Ashe from Overwatch. She's got the big old shotgun. That's what I expect to see from her. And so probably a shotgun user. She can use the Bloodstone maybe as well to like channel a beam or use that in some way, shape, or form of an ability. You know, with Duelist, you always want to fill something we don't have. So she's going to have to bring something unique. But this is a hero that, I don't know, it interests me how they're going to make her work in the game and truly bring something different with her kit overall. On top of that, though, I feel like, you know, she is known for having a grapple hook. So maybe you can get some form of, instead of using the grapple for movement, like, you know, Moon Knight or Daredevil, you could pull people in quickly to get them close in for the shotgun. I think that's, you know, kind of what Bucky has, but can work somewhat in a different way. Maybe she gets more charges, not sure, but that would be something that would work with the shotgun kit, and I can see kind of flowing with this Duelist package. Also, could have a crossbow. I mean, if a crossbow was her primary, sign me up. I'm a sucker for bows. I don't think we're going to get Kate Bishop. We got Hawkeye. This would be a cool way to bring that in as well. Elsa Bloodstone, a little bit more confusing, though. I don't know which way they're going to go about it. I don't know, maybe you like Summon Man Thing or Werewolf by Night. Cool concepts that it could come to life. But either way, Elsa will be coming to the game most likely. All right, guys, next up for the third hero of the year, you know, show me some Juggernaut, right? You know, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. That's his line. That's what I want to see. A lot of people said, okay, he's going to be just like the Thing. And in theory, some of the moves that, you know, the Thing has with his charge and whatnot, sure. But I think the Juggernaut, man, is a completely different hero and can truly be that giant, massive bullet sponge, get out of my way type of hero. Maybe he could pick up enemies and throw them to other enemies and pin them back. You know, I'd like to see someone that can use debris, you know, breaks and just get right to business. Kind of like Phoenix's ult that gets rid of, you know, Groot walls and whatnot. Juggernaut, just nothing is going to be in his path. So he instantly just clears through walls, shields, can instantly pop. Maybe he's an anti-shield hero. I think there's a lot of ways to bring him in to be like a true giant bully that we need in this game. You know, the Hulk has that, but he's more of a dive hero. There's a lot of ways, you know, to get that charge involved, and nothing can stop the Juggernaut. Cool way to bring the character into the game. With these, like, big guy heroes like the Blob or, you know, Colossus, you know, Juggernaut, it's going to be tough not to make them all the same, but I think Juggernaut has a plenty enough to kind of separate him from the others. All right, so for the fourth hero of the year that I can see us getting, maybe this is too early because I think they're going to tease the hell out of this guy, is Cyclops. I think just like Blade, we're going to see him in trailers, but it's going to take some time for us to get the iconic X-Men. And for Scott Summers, I'm in a tough place, right? Personally, everything about Cyclops, I see him as a Vanguard, all right? The leader of the X-Men. The way that he works, but his build and what we've seen of the character, it suggests he's going to be a duelist. He's kind of smaller stature. We saw there in the season 5 trailer, and he's probably going to lean that direction. So we're going to assume that for now. I would love to see a Vanguard, you know, let's move, leader of the X-Men, but duelist Cyclops. How do they bring him into the game? Honestly, I kind of want them to keep it pretty simple. A simple, like, you know, no fall off, infinite boom, optic beam out of the eyes that, you know, maybe he can ricochet off walls, or, you know, yeah, that to me would be awesome if he could ricochet this thing, and, you know, maybe you get more damage for ricocheting the beam. That you could bring together with him being able to move with it, as we saw in the most recent X-Men animated series. There's a lot of ways to bring Scott Summers. You could also do like a kind of how Storm works with the speed and damage buff. So he's like pseudo strategist, you know, he's the leader, right? So if you're around him, he's going to have a buff for people by him, whether it be damage, extra health, something in that regard. Could really lean towards how he is going to be in this game. You know, the more I think about this, the more they could do with Scott Summers. Like, they can use his, you know, optic blast to get rid of projectiles. He can be like long range and keep flyers contested. You know, maybe he has melee built in the kit if people get up close and personal. His team ups are going to be badass. Huge ultimate. I think he works, you know, extremely well as a hero, but I think they do keep him simplistic. The team ups, though, are going to be sick, man. Jean Grey right off the rip. Incredible. All right, guys, next up, we have what I think potentially would be the first strategist, and it is Mysterio. Now, obviously, I hope our first strategist comes before this. I'm not really concerned about the order. This is more of just saying the heroes that I think would be cool to come into 2026. Mysterio, man, is the way to go. At first, I had Green Goblin here, but it was tough to kind of make him into a strategist. He's probably going to be more of a duelist. I just don't see Goblin healing people in any regard, even though a lot of his kit could be strategist leaning. But as far as Mysterio, this guy, is freaking perfect. There's been so many cool concepts out there. One of them being that he could just make anyone on your team an illusion, right? Or a bot illusion. You have an Emma right there. Boom, you make a Emma bot that is going to be, you know, not super sophisticated by any means, but does distract your opponent and make them think which one is real and which one is fake. Leaning to this even heavier, the ultimate concepts out there are just pure gold. Everyone becomes Mysterio, right? That's what his ult does. Doesn't do damage, but friendly fire is turned on for that specific time. So, bam, Iron Man is about to ult. Everybody goes to Mysterio. He doesn't know who's good, who's bad, and then he, like, kills the entire team. I think that's perfect concept for a strategist and brings something super unique to the game. Obviously, being able to use, like, the gas and being able to have good mobility. Maybe he has not a fly, but kind of a hover that he can do, like Hela when she's falling. But good mobility in general, maybe poison gas or just kind of field AoE, kind of like Human Torch has. That's how I see him working in terms of a strategist, kind of leaning more into disruption than pure healer, but does have obviously the healing capabilities. Mysterio, I think, is a perfect freaking fit for this game. Next up, guys, we got Dr. Octopus, right? And I'm going to be honest, I don't have like perfect kits built out for all these people, but these are ones that I just think they're iconic. They should work, and I can envision them in Rivals when I'm playing a map. Dr. Octopus, the Vanguard. Now, first of all, his movement would be iconic. I think he could sit, you know, pretty high, so he's not disrupted by Groot walls. So obviously, a lot of his abilities will be based around the tentacles, doing different hits and whatnot. However, I think also you could use them for like allies and enemies. So maybe for allies, you can pull them out of danger, kind of like Lifeweaver in Overwatch. But also you could, you know, bring a tank in closer, whatever. You know, I just said that for Elsa, but I think it could work for him. Just getting good space built out with those tentacles, pushing back and just making space and having continuous damage of quick onslaught of burst damage. There's a lot of ways to go with this guy, but I love the idea of him being like kind of big and tall. Like he's an easy target, but also he can see and kind of get big time damage out on those below. I guess now that I think about it, he can maybe use his tentacles to grab people like Mr. Fantastic. But do you guys see him more as like big frontline or quick, kind of like Venom and fast moving? All right, X-Men fans, we already know we've got a lot of X-Men. Obviously, season 5 is full of it. Cyclops, we just talked about, and others. But Nightcrawler as a duelist, I need it injected in my veins, man, with the BAMF, the teleport, grabbing allies, grabbing enemies, teleporting back and forth, and having just crazy movement, both on the walls and through the air. Like, dude, there's so many ways they can make this character completely crazy. And I'm like, imagine grabbing somebody, going and teleporting off the map, and then teleporting back, and you just like effectively get a Jeff ult kill with them. It's a way to throw people off. The swords are going to be iconic. I want him to be an extremely fast melee hero. Maybe lean heavy into the glass cannon. Like, he's hard to hit. He does good damage, but dies easy. That's the way that I see Nightcrawler. Tons of movement, good damage. Bring it to the game. Now, what would be the perfect hero to bring adjacent with Nightcrawler in a season? My vote goes to Mystique. All right, now a lot of people are saying it's going to be too similar to Loki. How do you bring that to the game? Listen, guys, if you play TF2, I can just see Mystique being like the spy, right? Impersonating the enemies, instantly becoming, let's say, the enemy's Psylocke. If you get hit, just like stealth mode, you're going to go back to Mystique. But while you're impersonating somebody from the enemy team, you deal like incredible damage. And then you just make the rest of her kit like smoke screens and very good acrobatics and movement. So you just continually try to blend in. And then all of a sudden you have like a Hulk and he looks over and there's like another Hulk there. I just think this would be such a fun damn character to bring into the game on every level. I don't know how you make it work together, but Mystique would love to see it. All right, guys. So next up, I've been talking about this person forever when talking about hero concepts in the game. Give me some Silver Surfer, man. Show me some crazy mobility as a strategist that does pretty good damage with it. You know, I don't know how they're going to put his kit perfectly together, but I have a couple things thought out. First of all, like the idea of him being extremely fast, right? He's got the surfboard, just using it to, you know, do some hits and whatnot. But maybe he leaves a trail of constant healing that you can follow. And that's kind of the way that he supports his team. You know, maybe he has like kind of, I don't know if I want to go the same route where his, you know, his primary is going to deal damage and heal, but maybe kind of like Rocket or whatever. He has a, you know, an alternate fire to primary, a heal and a damage, a heal and a damage, but also can get up close, smack someone with the board, you know, go away. And then for the ultimate, listen, the Herald of Galactus. Can you imagine if this guy summoned Galactus into the game? If he brought Galactus down, shows up with the portal, you know, and then bam, just grabs someone I don't know, right? I don't think Galactus is going to come into this game as a playable hero, but this is one way that we could at least see his model. It would be absolute gas if they pulled this off. Only problem is with this concept and like, I don't know, Mysterios and a couple others, I can hear the PCs on fire and the graphic cards begging for their life. But either way, I think if they can make it happen, this is going to be like every Silver Surfer's dream come true. All right, so a year ago, guys, when the game came out, they did a poll of what hero we want to see the most come to the game. And I believe Ghost Rider, he won that poll. And I'm all for it, man. I think Ghost Rider would be a perfect Vanguard to come to the game. Now, Silver Surfer being a strategist, him being a Vanguard just fits perfectly. I think we're going to get more Johnny Blaze than we are anything else. And the way that I would envision him, not to be the same as everything else we got out there, you know, because we have Human Torch. There's a lot of fire heroes to pick from, right? They're not going to go with Pyro. Like, there's just so many they could go with. I kind of want to see him somewhat be like Penny Parker in a way, where we have this kind of control tank that he has. You know, the motorcycle is going to come out for sure, whether that's the ultimate or maybe just something that he can summon. Think like, what was that? A Super Smash Brothers, like Wario, when he has his little motorcycle out. More annoying than anything, but I can see him having good mobility with that. Just like, give me the whips, give me the flamethrower, man. I want the penance stare, like control in your face. Ghost Rider would go so hard. All right, we got 2 left to close out what would be the end of the year. And first up, guys, I don't know how to do this character that much too, because I don't want them too similar to Venom, to Spider-Man. But man, can we get Carnage in this game? A lot of heroes to pick from. I thought Carnage would be a cool one to bring into the game as a duelist, most likely. You know, focus in on him and his ability to make weapons. I think maybe you can do, you know, a lot of bleed mechanics with him. You can maybe do like symbiote stacks that he gets a heal from and continues to do damage with. Like, I don't know if you guys ever played that game Prototype. I think it was on like PlayStation 4. That's how I envision his melee combat working, though. Like, he can make all these weapons. It's kind of crazy. His ability or his mobility, instead of being like swinging like Venom and Spider-Man, he's more just like quick wall climbing, like something out of a horror movie, and just crazy aggressive. Maybe kind of like Nightcrawler in the sense of a glass cannon-ish, but, you know, has a bit more snowball potential, kind of like Bucky Barnes. The more I think about it, the more I want him in the game. He could be too similar in some ways, but I don't know where you draw that line, right? Is it Miles? Is it She-Hulk? For me, it's not Carnage. I want to see him, like maybe Spooky Season. All right, so we've got the last hero, or in this case, villain of the video, December. All right, and in December, Avengers Doomsday is going to hit. And I got to say, guys, I think they do it. I think there's no way you drop that movie, you lead up to it, bam, you drop Doctor Doom, the villain of the lore of Rivals. And man, there's so many ways that you could go with Doctor Doom. I don't know if he ever comes in the game, but I think if he's going to, this is the time they drop him. Just imagine, right? Because he's a perfect blend of like tech and magic. Maybe they do a stance switch, kind of like Emma Frost, and you can go either direction with that with 2 ultimates. Like, the bar of creativity needs to go as far as possible. If you're going to bring Doctor Doom in the game, you know, a lot of this stuff just sounds OP, but you can do Doom bots as like your sentry turrets. There's a lot of ways to incorporate him. He's definitely going to be a Vanguard, though, just by his design and his stature. And I don't know. I don't see him as anything else. You know, obviously he could be a duelist. He's the master strategist in terms of like who he is as a character. I just assume he's probably going to be a Vanguard. I just know there's one thing I want, an Easter egg, a callback for you Marvel vs. Capcom fans. I want Foot Dive, man. Give me Foot Dive. Bind it into his kit. But yeah, have like the tech side, the magic side. Give us more villains in the game. This is a great way to start. Maybe Carnage, Doctor Doom. What a way to end the year. So there you guys have it. That is all the heroes I think could come to the game in year 2. Maybe they sprinkle in some more unpopular heroes. They do like to do that and save some of the bangers for another year. But all I know, guys, is my most commented video every time are these hero speculation ones. Drop down below what hero you want to see, the role that they have. And just want to take this time to say thank you guys for watching the channel for a full year. Got a lot of cool content coming, kind of looking at the first year of Rivals, but also towards the future. And if you've enjoyed yourself and you haven't subscribed, maybe you've been watching a whole year and you haven't clicked that red button, do so right now. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Have a great one. Till the next one. Happy Rival.